Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are taking a deep dive into something you use every single day. Your drinking water.
Oh, very important.
And we're going to be uncovering the truth about what's really lurking in there. Specifically, a recent article from the Keck School of Medicine of USC.
Interesting.
Is raising some serious questions about forever chemicals and their potential link to cancer.
Right.
So by the end of this deep dive, you'll have the knowledge you need to make informed decisions about your own water consumption.
For sure.
But to kick things off, let's just start with the basics.
Right.
What exactly are these forever chemicals?
Right. So forever chemicals, or PFAS, which stands for polyfluoroalkyl substances, are a group of synthetic chemicals that are incredibly persistent. And that means they don't break down easily in the environment or in our bodies.
So they're just kind of hanging out?
Pretty much, yeah. And what's really concerning is they're incredibly widespread.
Yeah, I was reading that they're found in everything like nonstick cookware, stain-resistant fabrics to firefighting foam.
Yeah.
Even food packaging.
It's everywhere.
It's kind of mind-boggling how these chemicals have just infiltrated so many aspects of our lives.
Yeah, it's true. And because they don't break down, they tend to accumulate over time, both in the environment and in our bodies.
So it's like a snowball effect.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay, so now I understand why they're called forever chemicals.
Right.
But let's get to the heart of the matter here.
Okay.
What does this new study from the Keck School of Medicine tell us about the risks associated with PFAS in our drinking water?
This study is the first of its kind in the U.S. To draw a direct link between PFAS contaminated drinking water and a heightened risk of specific cancers. And what makes the study particularly significant is that it looked at nationwide data on cancer cases and PFAS levels in drinking water.
Between 2016 and 2021.
That's a huge data set.
Yeah, a lot of information.
So what did they find?
Well, the study revealed that in counties across the U.S. where PFAS levels exceeded EPA recommendations, there was a higher occurrence of certain types of cancer.
Okay, that's alarming.
It is concerning.
Yeah. What kind of numbers are we talking about here?
Well, researchers estimate that PFAS in drinking water could be contributing to over 6,800 cancer cases every year.
Wow.
In the U.S. alone.
So to put that in perspective, that's like filling an entire concert arena with people potentially affected by PFAS-related cancers.
It's a significant number for sure.
And you mentioned specific types of cancer?
Yes.
Which ones are we talking about?
The research identified several types.
Okay.
And interestingly, there were some variations between men and women.
Okay, so let's unpack those findings.
Okay.
What specific cancers did they link to higher PFAS levels in men?
Right. So for men, the study pointed to an increased incidence of leukemia.
Along with cancers of the urinary system, brain cancers, and soft tissue cancers.
Okay. And what about women?
Okay. So in women, the study found a correlation between higher PFAS levels and an increased risk of thyroid cancers, mouth and throat cancers, and similar to men's soft tissue cancers.
So we're looking at a pretty diverse range of cancers.
Yes. Quite a few different types.
Potentially linked to PFAS in our drinking water.
That's right.
So it's important to note that this study took a broad approach. Analyzing large-scale data to pinpoint patterns and potential connections.
Right.
So it provides valuable insights.
Absolutely.
But it's essential to understand that an association doesn't automatically equal causation.
Exactly. Correlation doesn't necessarily mean direct causation.
Right. You're right. It doesn't necessarily mean that everyone exposed to PFAS will develop these cancers.
Right.
But it definitely raises some red flags.
It definitely warrants further investigation and attention.
So knowing this, what steps can we take to minimize our exposure to these forever chemicals?
Well, there's good news on that front.
Okay.
The EPA is stepping in to regulate PFAS in drinking water.
Good.
Beginning in 2029, they'll start enforcing limits on 6 types of PFAS.
That's encouraging. But what can we do in the meantime?
You're absolutely right. 2029 does feel like a long way off.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, knowledge is your best defense.
Okay.
I strongly recommend checking out your local water quality reports.
Okay.
These reports are publicly available and provide detailed information about the levels of various contaminants, including PFAS, in your drinking water.
So the first step is to get informed about what's actually in our water.
Exactly. Once you know what you're dealing with, you can make more informed choices.
Okay.
If you're concerned about PFAS levels, you might want to consider investing in an at-home water filtration system.
I've seen ads for those. Do they actually work?
They can be effective.
Okay. Are there specific types that are better at removing PFAS?
Yes. There are systems specifically certified to remove PFAS, providing an extra layer of protection. When choosing a filtration system, it's important to look for certifications that verify their effectiveness against PFAS.
Okay. That's really helpful advice.
You're welcome.
Knowing that we have options to safeguard our health is empowering.
Absolutely.
But this issue goes beyond our individual choices, doesn't it?
It does, yes.
If these forever chemicals are as widespread as we're learning,
right,
what are the broader implications for the environment as a whole?
That's a crucial question and one that researchers are actively exploring. We're just beginning to grasp the full extent of PFAS contamination and its potential impact on human and ecological health. The more we learn, the better equipped we'll be to develop effective solutions.
It's a sobering thought.
It is.
But also a call to action.
For sure.
It's a sobering thought, but also a call to action.
Yeah, for sure.
So for those tuning in, here's what we've uncovered today.
Okay.
PFAS. Those persistent, forever chemicals.
Right.
They're more widespread than many realize. And they're potentially linked to a concerning range of cancers.
A lot of different types.
And while the EPA is taking steps to regulate PFAS in drinking water.
That's right, they are.
Those regulations are still a few years away.
Yeah, 2029 still feels a ways off.
Yeah, which is why it's so important for all of us to be proactive.
Yes, definitely be proactive.
We can start by checking our local water quality reports.
Absolutely.
And considering filtration systems for our homes.
Right.
But this issue goes beyond our individual choices, doesn't it?
It does. It really does.
If these forever chemicals are as widespread as we're learning, what does that mean for the long-term health of our planet?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's one that scientists are working tirelessly to answer.
Yeah.
It really underscores the urgent need for continued research, responsible manufacturing practices, and proactive policies to address the risks posed by PFAS and other emerging contaminants.
You know, this deep dive has been eye-opening.
It is.
To say the least.
For sure.
It's made me realize that we can't take clean water for granted.
No, we can't. Clean water is a precious resource that deserves our protection.
Well said.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of drinking water safety.
Yeah.
And the challenges posed by forever chemicals. We hope you found this information valuable.
That's so.
And empowering.
Absolutely.
Until next time, stay curious and keep diving deep.
Sounds good.
So for anyone just tuning in, let's recap what we've learned today about forever chemicals.
Right.
PFAS are more widespread than we think.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
And they can be linked to a range of cancers.
That's right. A pretty scary thought.
And while the EPA will eventually step in to regulate them in our drinking water, those regulations are still a few years out.
Yeah, in 2029.
So we need to be proactive now.
Exactly. We've got to take matters into our own hands.
We can check our local water quality reports.
Yes, definitely a good first step.
And even consider getting a filtration system for our homes.
Right. Those can really help reduce your exposure.
But it's not just about our homes, is it?
No, not at all.
These chemicals, they're in the soil, in the air.
That's right.
Even the food we eat.
It's a big problem.
So where does that leave us?
Well, it's a challenge for sure.
What does it mean for the planet's health?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's something scientists are trying to figure out right now.
It sounds like we need more research.
Absolutely. We need to understand these chemicals better.
And we need to make sure companies are manufacturing responsibly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We need better policies to protect us from these risks.
Well, this has been a really eye-opening deep dive.
It has been.
I know I'm going to be thinking about this a lot.
Me too. It's important to stay informed.
It makes you realize we can't just take clean water for granted.
Exactly. Clean water is precious, and we need to protect it.
I couldn't agree more. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive.
It's been my pleasure.
We learned about drinking water safety and the challenges of forever chemicals.
They're a serious threat.
Hopefully this information was helpful for everyone listening.
I hope so too.
And hopefully it will empower you to make positive changes.
Absolutely, knowledge is power.
Until next time, stay curious and keep diving deep.
See you then.